The laughter rolled across the gym like a careless wave, loud enough to sting but soft enough to pretend it meant nothing. Under the bright daytime lights, surrounded by mirrors that reflected every flaw people thought they saw, a single dad janitor stood near a barbell with worn gloves and tired eyes. He had learned how quickly a room could decide who you were before you ever opened your mouth. In that moment, with chalk dust floating in the air and sunlight pouring through the tall windows, no one imagined that silence was only minutes away. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Life Spark Stories, because stories like this deserve to be heard. Marcus Ellery's mornings began long before the sun rose. By daylight, when most people were just starting their routines, he had already cleaned 2 office floors, emptied overflowing bins, and scrubbed marks off walls no one else noticed. The janitor uniform clung to him even when he changed, as if the world refused to let him forget his place. Since his wife passed away from a sudden illness 3 years earlier, every ounce of strength he had left went into raising his 8-year-old daughter, Nia. She believed her father was strong because he carried groceries in one trip and never complained, not because of anything she could measure. The gym was Marcus's only escape, a place he visited in the middle of the day after his shift because the fees were cheaper and the crowds were thinner. He trained quietly, without headphones or flashy gear, following routines scribbled in a creased notebook. Some people nodded at him politely, but most barely noticed him until that afternoon. A group of regulars had gathered near the platforms, confident and loud, their laughter bouncing freely through the space. When Marcus stepped up to warm up, their eyes followed him, lingering on his scuffed shoes and faded shirt. The snickers came easily, as if struggle itself was something amusing. Marcus felt it, the old familiar tightening in his chest, the voice telling him to shrink, to leave, to remember that he was just a janitor. He thought of Nia waiting at home, of the promise he made to himself to never let her see him quit on something that mattered. Training was not about proving others wrong. It was about keeping himself whole. He focused on his breathing, on the way the bar felt beneath his hands, on the steady rhythm that grounded him when life felt unbalanced. The weight on the bar was no accident. 441 pounds had taken him months to work up to, balancing progress with exhaustion from long workdays. He had failed lifts alone in this same daylight room, cleaned the chalk off the floor himself afterward, and returned the next day anyway. As he stepped into position, the laughter faded slightly, replaced by curious glances. Sunlight cut across the platform, highlighting the tension in his arms and the quiet determination on his face. When Marcus pulled, the room seemed to slow. The bar left the ground reluctantly, his muscles straining, his breath controlled through discipline built from years of enduring more than just physical weight. Thoughts of overdue bills, sleepless nights, and whispered doubts threatened to distract him, but he held on. Inch by inch, the weight rose. His legs locked, his back straightened, and suddenly he was standing tall, the bar secure in his grip. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. Silence filled the gym, thick and undeniable. No laughter, no whispers, only the sound of the bar being lowered with control and respect. The mirrors reflected something different now. Not a janitor, not a man to be laughed at, but someone who had earned that moment through quiet persistence. Marcus stepped back, heart pounding, not from the lift alone, but from the release of something he had carried far too long. He left the gym shortly after, walking into the warm afternoon with a lighter step. Nothing about his life had magically changed. He would still clean floors tomorrow, still pack lunches, still count every dollar. But something inside him had shifted. He had proven to himself that strength did not need permission, applause, or approval. It only needed commitment. If this story touched your heart, reminded you to look twice before judging someone, or gave you a spark of hope, please engage with this video and let your support be felt. And before this story ends, leave a comment with the word respect to honor quiet strength and unseen battles. Sometimes, the loudest message is delivered in complete silence.